Okay, is everybody in?
Yes.
Okay, so this boss is fairly straightforward. Essentially, will be tanks will have the boss on one side, and then ads will periodically spawn.
Hey guys.
They'll be tanked away from the boss because they do basically if they're within 15 yards of the boss, they'll take 50% reduced damage and increase their damage by 50%. So they spawn 3 times. So this fight has 3 phases. So the first phase, the boss is on a platform. The ads will spawn 3 times. On the third spawn, he'll go hide on another platform. We'll have to kill the ads and then go through a gauntlet and go to the final platform for the phase 3. So this first thing that they're showing right now is the tank mechanic. So essentially, this is like most tank mechanics, but in reverse. So the longer the tank has the boss,
That's what I'm really
the
looking
less
for.
damage they'll take. They get a 10% reducing damage stack.
That's interesting. Very different.
After taking 10 stacks, it would immediately die. So basically, the tanks taunt off at 9 stacks.
So I'll use the public
So what this means for
sheet
healers
here
and
as
tanks
well.
is they'll get hit really hard at the beginning, but then take less damage
Gotta have a room
as
for
that thing stacks up.
someone to get on camera.
This also comes into play for the ads because then when the tanks swap, the tank that had the boss previously will take less damage from the ads while that debuff still falls off. So I assume the tanks already kind of talked about this, when they're going to taunt off that kind of stuff on their tank meeting. So if you guys want to chime in here, you guys can. But pretty straightforward. Normal tank swap mechanic.
Yeah, pretty much.
So the first abilities that'll happen, you can see on the sheet, is kind of this other mechanic, which is called incubation fluid.
As he's going through that, this is all this on the left-hand side of the screen. This over here will all be. This is the public spreadsheet I'll be releasing tonight. I just haven't linked it yet because I want to make sure that I get any final updates tonight in there. I'm going to be maintaining it probably for the next week or so to keep it current with our heroic strats, heroic strats only.
Will need to spread from everybody else because.
But I will maintain it for the next week to just update it probably daily to see if there's any major changes for heroic stuff.
If they're too close.
But all this will be out tonight, shortly. So here's timers here. Awesome.
And then the other mechanic is this dribbling ichor. So basically, just these things will spawn around the room. You have to just find the safe space and dodge them. Pretty straightforward. So now they're explaining the incubation fluid mechanic. And this is phase 1 essentially. So basically the damage will ramp up as the phase goes on. So healing cooldowns have been set to basically ramp up with that damage.
So here's the healing cooldowns for phase 1 here. So we can see that we've got, pretty light. And then we start getting
gauntlet part.
Much more stacked up. Do we have gauntlet timings? Here we go.
So you can see on the transition, basically he'll run away, and then we'll have to all go chase him. I guess initially during testing you could jump across that ledge, but they've since added jellyfish to it that basically prevent you from doing that. So we use a combination of different speed boosts, shaman totem, potentially gateway, stuff like that, to assist with moving through this. Basically it's just run through and don't get hit by stuff.
Stampeding roar, maybe if we have a
you have roughly a minute or so to get to the bottom of this gauntlet, and then you have to interrupt his cast, otherwise it'll instantly wipe the raid if you don't get down there fast enough. So you can see there they did that before they implemented the jellyfish, they just jumped through, but that probably won't be a thing on live.
Like the zoom effect.
So phase 3 is similar to phase 1. You basically have the same mechanics with the incubation fluid, you have the same mechanics with the arcing current. The difference is now is there'll be a new mechanic, which you can see them dropping off right now, called Aqualance. And so that'll happen from, I should explain, there's 3 different ads this time now. So instead of having those little squid ads, now you're going to have either the Myrmidons, the Witch, or the Hulks. And so it's kind of hard to tell from the logs. It looks like it's somewhat random. 2 ads spawn at a time, but which 2 ads they are doesn't seem to have like any consistency in the logs that we looked at. So usually it just seems to be that there's a random 2 different ads. And so you could get 2 witches, 2 myrmidons, 2 hulks, or some variations of 1/1. So one of them, the myrmidon, will do that mechanic that you see, which is the aqua lance. Basically, the player targeted just has to get out to the edge, and then they're going to spawn a puddle afterwards that we want to keep out of the raid.
The Nax shield, I like that shield. I used to use that before they got the Legion mod. That was the
witches will do the shock of lightning on players. This is just unavoidable damage. It's not too much though. The important thing if you watch out for with the witches is this conductive pulse, and that's an interruptible cast that stuns the entire raid for 3 seconds. And so we'll have an interrupt rotation set up for that. If you look at the sheet, you can see right now there's 2 different rotations, and that's if there's a chance that 2 witches spawn, they're both covered.
Awesome. I left that part blank.
And so I assume probably DBM
only we're going to use those names.
Bigwigs will mark them, and if not, we can.
But that's where you fill that in.
Basically, that'll just be how we deal with those interrupts. And then the last one is the Hulk, and these do a powerful stomp that is basically a ton of raid damage, and so we'll have healing cooldown set up for these. But again, it wasn't clear if these are supposed to spawn in some kind of order. I didn't see 2 Hulks spawn at the same time in any of the logs I saw, so hopefully you wouldn't get 2 at the same time, but essentially you just have to eat the damage and use healing cooldown.
So we'll see powerful stomp, SLT, and darkness. Next one, barrier and rally. This is for a starting suggestion.
And that's basically it. Yeah.
Saying, look, if you can rewind it just a little bit, like maybe, or if I'm, to when the incubation fluid or the dripping was happening,
welcome to the Strat
spot. It looks like in that right by the ramp, that it wasn't falling. We might be able. I mean, if it's something the healers want to do, depending on the amount of damage, to avoid having to move, we could like maybe stand there. If you see it right there on the left side, right there. It doesn't drop right there, and it seems like range gets
talking
stacked.
This. Maybe.
Yeah, if that's actually consistent, then we could even maybe tank the boss over there.
Yeah.
That's not something I noticed, but if that's true, then yeah, that would make things easier.
Yeah, if anybody gets a chance, the hatchery video that I was using previously, the way that they did the entire fight was they just tanked the boss over by the ramp or in like a safe spot, and they never had to move. They just healed through the damage, and only the tank and the melee that were out in the center had to avoid the damage from the dripping water or whatever I forget what this is called. But they only had to dodge this.
We'll look for that tomorrow morning.
Never had to move, so it helped in like more DPS, and healers never had to move either.
I mean, I'm thinking if it doesn't spawn over there, there's no reason not to have the boss tanked over there, right?
Right. No, the ranged or the boss and the ranged were over there, but when they had to tank the ads, they tanked the ads in the middle of the room, right, and they were able to. Yeah, they were able to interchangeably tank the ads in the middle, and then kill the ads before the next fall happened, and they were able to get melee everywhere to get.
One other thing, there's a couple. I don't know if this was like. They said on normal, on one of their tests, it didn't happen, and on another one of their tests on a different difficulty, it happened. Every time they phased into the transition, it seemed to overlap with ad spawns. Up top, so they said it's smarter to finish the ads up top before you go down the ramp because you still have a minute to get down there. So if that happens, DPS, you want to make sure you're like killing this stuff so the tanks or immunities or whatever can soak the goop that they drop.
Yeah, the way the mechanic seems to work is he'll spawn the ads as he transitions. It's I believe energy based or cast timer based. It's one of the two, but it seems to be consistent. Some people will lust in on that to get those ads down faster. I don't think we'll need to, at least on heroic, but that's something we could also consider as lust in to kill those ads to get down there faster.
Question. So is phase 1's not health based at all? You're saying it's just it's like a timer thing before he goes into phase 2?
That's what it seems to be, yeah.
Yeah, because you're gonna get 3 sets of ads, like for sure, right?
If we don't need lust to kill the ad, wouldn't it'd be a more beneficial thing to just pop it off the pole to get more damage so that he has less health in phase 2, maybe?
Correct, yeah. Unless
some people are doing.
Yeah. Unless the healing debuff is so stacks up so much at the end that we needed the healing, but again for heroic I doubt we'll need it. That might be a mythic thing where we have to lust to also help out healers, we'll see. But yeah, ideally for damage you would just lust at the pole and just get down like most of the boss health then.
With the tanks on that one, you mentioned it earlier about swapping at 9, but isn't there going to be a thing where the ads come out and when the ads are killed, they drop those puddles on the ground? If they're not soaked, then we take a massive amount of raid AoE. So with the person that has the stacks that allow them to have a damage decrease, we would theoretically want them to stand in that, right?
Correct.
Right. Yeah, it's not 9 stacks, by the way. It's going to be more or less like 4 or 5, and our taunt swap is going to be based on the spawning of the ads. There'll be some times where we'll cut it a little close because we want the maximum amount of time from that debuff. So if we see that the ads are spawning in like 7 or 8 seconds, we'll wait till the boss gives the current tank like an extra stack, and then he'll go out and do his thing.
Perfect.
So we did do
Is there any merit to using mages for it?
Yep.
We did do a tank specific roundtable. We actually did 2 strategy sessions of just tank talk only.
Thanks,
Goob, Tal, and myself. And we've covered really everything as tanks, so from just a real tank specific focus.
Sure, I don't know how long the debuff lasts.
So we've kind of gone over a lot of that stuff already together.
Refresher debuff if at some point if we have enough time, if you guys are only doing up 4 or 5.
It does last a good little bit. If you refresh one tank and then go back to the other, one of them is going to get mind controlled.
Yeah.
I think it was 30 seconds.
Or it's not mind control, it's just dead.
It's dead, yeah.
I want to say it's a 30-second debuff. I'd have to check the log again.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to refresh it. You would want to time it like what they were saying, 4 or 5 stacks, and then swap for sure when the ads are about to die, so that tank with the debuff can go and soak the puddles.
Yep.
And it's also imperative that the DPS do their best to take down the ads at the same time, because if we stagger the puddles, that's going to cause a lot of issues.
And same proximity.
If puddle 1 goes down, I mean, if we stack them together, it's better. Just because you can just soak all of them all at once with an ice block or an immunity or a bubble or whatever it may be. Because if we kill one ad 3 or 4 yards away from the other, then we have to soak one, get to the other one in 5 seconds, and get to the other one in 5 seconds. Then you're it's that defeats the purpose of the debuff that we have.
They're not groupable, by the way, so can no longer position them. You just have to
Tanks, did you look into if Zen Med works for that soaking?
It does. It works.
It does. Nice.
Phenomenally well.
Yeah, they showed that in the video.
Zen, Bubble, Spellward. I don't think Turtle didn't work. Ice Block definitely worked for soaking all 3 at the same time.
Yeah, that's what we were doing. We had myself and Tally just take turns. Tally would take it with CDs, and I would just ice block the second side. By then we were phasing it.
There's really nothing groundbreaking being covered here, right? There's nothing just oh my god, I never thought about that. But these conversations,
I think
at least before I joined Death Jesters, were usually conversations that happened on raid night, looking at the boss, right?
That negated the damage.
Get to the boss. Have a conversation like this, watch a video, discuss strat, maybe plan stuff. Maybe there was stuff planned already, maybe not.
For the soak you're saying.
Yeah, for the soak.
Yeah.
I like that we can do nights like this ahead of time.
Right on top of each other.
Or in private, of course, yeah.
We can soak it all at one time. It was
or this video session would be
8-second window,
here's the video link. I did this myself. Here's the video link, everybody watches. I'm expecting everybody to watch this video, but do you really know they're watching? No, you don't.
Good. It's good to know. Yeah, just in case,
I like
we need to keep
the
tank health high or
group discussion.
This time
the group
backups
luck is preparation meeting opportunity. I read that the other day. I like that. it's good to just kind of get that conversation, get the the easy discussion out, the general tweaks
some sort of,
ahead of time, and a lot of this is all conversations that we've been having internally on Discord and our Strat groups for weeks, several weeks.
Yeah, I think Jeremy put some.
So this is like kind of the full group culmination about it,
and then
make you feel more confident. Absolutely.
What they're doing too. They'll probably have their mitigation up going into the fight and stuff like that.
Perfect.
Yeah,
on Heroic, it looked like it was just the start of the fight was kind of painful, and then after that, tank swaps seemed to be not that much damage.
If you don't have a,
just their active mitigation was enough.
If you don't have personal up going in on pull, you're
dead.
Yeah.
That would only matter for like.
I'll think too. He's gonna get hit pretty hard because you'll start with nothing. So
Prot Warrior may start to open up there. Get the demo shout before you charge in.
He's gonna be getting hit pretty hard from the beginning.
In the logs that we looked at for Heroic, at least,
I wholeheartedly
like
agree. Me gaming, absolutely.
On tank swap, so I mean that's not a huge amount, but it's nothing to laugh at either.
Also vocabulary, nice.
Was it 80k with a
without voice stacks?
Yeah, but did they have like any defenses on or anything?
Yes. They didn't have any externals. I think some of them used personals.
Yeah, 80k seems trivial for a tank.
On the PTR, I was leading with Voidstone on the swap. That's probably, if we have issue, we can just do that. And that seemed to balance out Omegle pretty well.
Sounds good. Guess on to the next one. Who's doing Queen's